Hello friends, welcome to Veranda CA. Let us start with our part 2 of chapter number 1. So we finished looking at business process automation. We've seen our enterprise risk management. I hope everyone's written down the questions in that order. And next we're going to move to the various types of systems that are there linked with technology. So in an organization, if you see, we have the mainframe, we have personal computers, we have mobile phones, we have laptops, desktops, yeah. So we have all of these assets linked to the common network of any organization. So in order to mitigate risks from every place, from mainframe, from mobile, yeah, in order to mitigate risk from all the components of our information technology, we need to have certain controls put in place. Clear? Now, what are the controls that are put in place? First of all, what are controls? Please note that this definition will be applicable throughout your entire EIS syllabus. So, it could be chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whenever they ask you a question about controls, this is what it means. Policies, procedures and practices, PPPs. Policies, procedures and practices to mitigate the risks. And why do I want to mitigate the risk? To safeguard my asset, for data integrity, for system effectiveness and system efficiency. PPPs to mitigate the risk, for safeguarding the assets, for data integrity, system effectiveness and system efficiency. The types of controls could be automated, semi-automated or manual. Imagine the car keys. Yeah, we have manual car key, we have semi-automated car key and we have automatic. You just don't need the key in your hand. As long as it's in your pocket or near you, that's fine. The car is going to open by itself. So we have three types of controls: manual, semi-automated and automated controls. Clear about the definition of controls? Now, in our ERP system, we have two types of controls. One is ITGC, Information Technology General Control, okay? And they are macro in nature, also known as infrastructure control. Macro in nature, also known as infrastructure controls. It is applicable to all the applications and resources in an organization, applicable throughout the organization. That is why it is known as macro in nature. And that is why it's known as infrastructure controls, applicable to all the infrastructure in the organization. So apart from ITGC, we have another bracket called as application controls. Now this application controls is to prevent and detect errors in individual applications. Can I have controls for Tally? Yes. Can I have controls for Excel? Yes. Can I have controls for my browser? Yes. So different applications will have different controls built in place, which are known as application controls. They are applicable to individual application built inside the application itself. Built inside the application itself. Clear. Next is the various types of ITGC. First, we will study what is ITGC. Infrastructure controls, they are PPPs to ensure that systems are properly safeguarded. Okay. Now, we will study the various types of information technology general controls. For this answer, I want you to imagine the first day at office for a fresher. First day at office, what are the things that he needs to do? Okay, through this story, we are going to remember the points for ITGC. So, first day at office, I will be made to sign some policy documents. Okay, I will be able to sign some documents. So, information security policy. Information security policy, this is a general or a mandatory point where all the organization needs to have a policy documents with all the clauses in place. Information technology policy. The second, I am going to be given an access card. Only then with that access card I can enter the office. So, access, authorization and authentication. Access, authorization and authentication. After that, the first day of office, imagine they are going to give me a laptop. Acquisition of system hardware. Acquisition of system hardware. In that laptop, they are going to put the relevant software that is applicable for my duties. Yeah. So, if I am in the indirect tax department, they are going to put various GST softwares and all of that the organization uses in that laptop. So, installation of application softwares. After they have installed it, they have to put certain maintenance of the application software. They have to put in certain guidelines on how they are going to maintain that application software. Okay. Once that is done, they are going to train me. User training. They are going to tell me where and how I need to keep my files. CIA of my software files. confidentiality, integrity, availability of my software files. Once I have those files in place, they're going to tell me how I need to take a backup in case of any emergency. Okay, now it's the first day at office. In case someone tries to bully me, someone tries to rag me, yeah, or some misappropriate behavior, inappropriate behavior, in that case, they're going to tell me incident reporting and management. What I need to do, who do I need to go to and report? Incident reporting and management. After that, I have value added areas of SLA. SLA stands for Service Level Agreement. So there are going to be certain value added areas in every information technology general control, how it's going to be put in any agreement, how the clauses are going to be put in any agreement. Okay, value added areas of SLA. Let us see the points. So, clear with information security policy, they are going to make me sign. Access card, they are going to give me administration, access and authentication, management and acquisition of systems. After that, proper development and implementation of application software, managing those applications and support servers. Then I have to maintain CIA of my data, CIA of software and files. Backup, how am I going to take a backup? Training. Separation of key IT functions, important point. So, they are going to tell me that I need to do my work and send it to my manager. My manager will review it and send it to the partner. So, separation of duties, it's called separation of IT functions. Separation of IT functions. Change management. First day of office, everything is different for me. I don't know the people. Yeah, how I'm going to adapt to the change. How I'm going to adapt to the change. Change management. Incident response and management. Value added areas of SLA. Value added areas of SLA. Let us do a quick revision, guys. Quick revision so that we're clear with these concepts. Point number 1. Information security policy. Information security policy. Access card. Access, authentication and authorization. Acquisition of system hardware. Installation and development of application software. Maintenance of application software. User training. Confidentiality, integrity and availability of the software files and programs. After that, the backup. How's the backup that I'm going to take care of? Change management. Change management. Incident reporting. Incident response and management. Incident reporting and management. Then I have value added areas of SLA. Are you clear? Is everyone clear with the answer? All the points at your fingertips? Very good. Let's move on to the other bucket, which is application controls. Application controls, guys, I've told you it is built inside the application to ensure the CAR of transactions. CAR means completeness, accuracy and reliability of the transactions that are generated through the application software. Now, have a look at this. It is a sample, log which is reported by any software. For example, purchase requisition number 319. This is the date, 31st May. Now, on this date, at this time, there was an estimate that was created by an employee. Now, this estimate was approved on the next day by an other employee. So, if I have a transaction like that, I can see who has done what. Okay. So, for any application, it is very important that first I have transaction logging. Transaction logging. Okay. Next, who are the people who can, whoever enters the transaction, obviously every software is built in such a way that they have credit and debit totals matching. Balance of ledgers. Balance of credit and debit ledgers. Okay. Next, employee A has created the invoice, Shreya has created the invoice and Rishabh has approved the invoice. So, segregation of duties. Segregation of duties. Point number 4. Point number 4, segregation of duties. After that, if any error is there, error reporting and exception reporting. So, they have given you a list of few application controls. Please note this list is not exhaustive. Error reporting, exception reporting. Okay, in case of negative cash balance, you are still able to make cash entries. In that case, what are the reports that will be generated by the application? Very good, boys and girls. Let's go to the first point. Transaction logging. Transaction logging. Balancing of debit and credit ledgers. Then I have segregation of duties. After that, I have data edits. Who can edit the data? Who can edit the data? Then I have error reporting and exception reporting. Error reporting and exception reporting. So 6 points out here. Transaction, logging, balancing of ledgers, segregation of duties, data edits, error reporting, transaction reporting. Error reporting, transaction reporting. Clear with the few application controls that are mentioned in your book? Very good. Now, key indicators of effective IT controls. Key indicators of effective IT controls. Now, this has been hidden somewhere in some between lengthy paragraphs. So, be aware there is some question which is there. It is an RTP question. Key indicators of effective IT controls. The way to remember this answer is a happy office. Okay, happy office, where in a happy office, tell me what are the things. First one, new ideas, new products can be implemented. Yeah. Second one, good service offerings. Good service offerings. Better offerings. Quality service. Due to point number 2 and 3, I have customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction. Okay. And because I have effective IT controls, resource consumption is less. Resource consumption is less, because of which cost is less. Cost is less. And then I have vulnerabilities. Protection against vulnerability. In case any missing safeguards, I will get to know. And finally, I will have a security conscious culture. Security conscious culture. Which means the last 2 points are, you know, kind of warning you, cautioning points. Yeah, protection against vulnerabilities, security conscious culture. Okay, last 2 points. Apart from that, all the points are happy points. Right? Key indicators of effective IT controls. New work, on-time delivery, better service offerings, customer help desk, resources, information is there on time, and I can communicate with the management. Better communication with the management. Protection against vulnerabilities and security conscious culture. Clear, guys? Yes? Is everyone clear? You want to revise once quickly? Yes? Yes? One last time? Okay. The question is key indicators of effective IT controls. Key indicators of effective IT controls. Yeah. Tell me, point number 1, new work can be undertaken. Point number 2, on-time delivery of projects, better service offerings. Better service offerings, use of customer help desk. Use of customer help desk. Resources are used optimally. Cost is reduced. Information is transparent. Okay, information flow is there. I can communicate to the management. Information is reliable. I can communicate to the management. After I communicate to the management, 2 points which are caution points are protection against vulnerabilities and security conscious culture. Protection against vulnerabilities and security conscious culture. Clear, guys? Awesome. Let's move on to the next question. Components of ERM framework versus components of internal control. Please note, we had studied the story of floods. Yeah, components of ERM framework. ERM framework will have 8 points. From there, 5 points same for components of internal control. So, under ERM, and I have over here internal control. So, ERM framework is a big word. So, 8 points. Internal control is a small word. So, 5 points. The first point here was internal environment. Quickly, internal environment, and then I had objective setting. After objective setting, I had event identification. I hope everyone's able to remember. Next, I have risk assessment, risk response. After risk response, I have control activities, and then it was information and communication and monitoring. Okay. So, components of ERM framework and components of internal control, same points. So just pick up 5 points from here. The first point says the same, just that the word becomes control environment. Over here it is internal environment, over here it becomes control environment. After that, leave point 2 and 3, directly take point number 4. Point number 1, point number 4 and 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, 8 as it is. Point number 1, 4, 6, 7, 8. 1, 4, 6, 7, 8. 1, 4, 6, 7, 8. So under 1 you have the same point as what is there in the ERM framework, just that you replace the first word. Over here you use internal environment, over here you use control environment. Point number 4, risk response, risk assessment, and then control activities, information and communication and monitoring. Clear? Everyone's clear with the 2 questions here on components? Easy to remember. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to see in detail what the components are. It's the same as it is covered earlier. Okay. Wonderful. Next question here is limitations of internal control. Limitations of internal control. Okay. Now in this, the way you're going to remember is 1 cost, 2 employees and 2 management. 1 point on cost, 2 points on employees and 2 points on management. The point on cost is that the cost exceeds the benefit derived from the control. The cost of the control, of implementing the control, exceeds the benefit derived from the control. Okay, so we have cost exceeds benefit. 1 point on cost, 2 on employees. Okay. Now tell me something. I have good controls in place, but the employee has made a human error or transaction of an unusual nature that I never thought of. Okay, can I have controls for that? No. So, no controls for transactions of unusual nature or human error. For example, carelessness, distraction. Because of all of that, he's made some mistake and my system is not going to find that out. For example, an invoice which is for 10,000 is entered in the system as 1,000. Okay, and the person who's supposed to approve it also, due to some distraction, approved that off. Will my controls be able to detect that? No. So, due to any carelessness or distraction, cannot detect it. Next is collusion. Collusion by employees. Collusion by employees means that employees come together and decide to invade the control system, decide to break through the control system. So, in that case, my controls will be ineffective. Collusion by employees. 2 points on employees. 2 on management. Number 1, management abuse of power and responsibility. We have seen many cases where top management abuse their or misuse their power and responsibility. In that case, controls will be ineffective. Manipulations by management. Management manipulating the figures after all the controls have been acting, and after that manipulating the end data. In that case, controls cannot do anything about that, right? So, 1 point on cost, cost exceeds benefits. 2 points on employees, unusual transaction, human error and collusion. 2 points on employees. 2 points on management, abuse of power by management, and manipulations by the management. So, guys, we're doing limitations of internal control. Clear? Awesome. So, we need to check controls at 3 levels in every process. One is levels. So, whenever the word levels comes, please make sure you have to write configurations, master and transactions. Configurations, masters and transactions. Masters is, for example, you open a customer master file. You create a customer ABC. Yeah. So, this is relatively permanent. And transaction is what you have sold to him today, what you have purchased from him today. Okay. So, the transactions on a day-to-day basis, the amounts, that's going to change. So, transactions are what will change. It's like non-master data. Now, under configuration means how the software is going to function, how it's going to look like, the menus and all of that. So, at all these 3 stages, we need to have adequate controls so that no one can misuse the system. Now, we have so many processes that are discussed in chapter number 1. We'll quickly go through that. Procure to pay, P2P. P2P is from which side? Tell me, vendor side or customer side? Is it from my procurement side or for my delivery side? It is from my vendor side. Okay. From when I order to when I make payment for the services, when I get the goods and when I make payment for the services. All the activities in that P2P process. Now, they are asking for risks and controls with respect to masters. Risks and controls with respect to masters. Now, I want you to know one very simple way to remember all the risks and controls. So, all the masters for all the processes have the same set of points. Okay, just that in this, because it is from the supplier side, there will be supplier master file. Okay, the points are the same. For example, unauthorized changes made to the supplier's master file. Unauthorized changes. Someone who is not supposed to create new masters or make some changes has gone in the system and made the changes. Yeah, he's added his own account in the bank details of a customer, of a vendor, so that the payment when it goes to his account. Okay, so unauthorized changes made to the supplier master file. Okay, next is changes not entered into the system. Changes are not even entered into the system. Third point, changes are entered. Okay, second point was changes are not even entered. Third point, changes are entered but entered incorrectly. Fourth point, changes are entered correctly but entered after 7 months. Entered after 7 months, all my mails that were supposed to go to that supplier bounced back. Yeah, and I couldn't send mails to them because the changes were not made on the correct date. Okay, so unauthorized changes, changes in the system not entered, changes entered but incorrectly. Changes entered but incorrectly. Fourth is changes delayed or not up to date. Okay. Now, the controls are going to be exactly opposite of whatever the risks are. And finally, we have one common point throughout the risks and controls topic. System access to maintain masters. System access to maintain master is not given to the authorized user. The system access is not given to the authorized user. The control is going to be that restricted to authorized users. Okay, so I hope you've got the point that controls are opposite of what the risks are. So your only challenge is to remember the risks. Now, risk also how to remember, we've discussed an easy way. In case it's P2P, it's going to be supplier master file. In the supplier master file, 4 things: unauthorized changes, changes not even made, changes made but incorrectly, and finally changes not made up to date. 4th point, changes not made up to date. Now, and system access is a common point throughout. Okay, so now if you have O2C, controls with relation to masters, please note we are only discussing masters, not transaction, not at the transaction level, only at the master level. Now, in the master level, supplier master file you will have for P2P. If it is O2C, you will have customer master file. Clear? Perfect. And the same table, same points everywhere. Clear? Okay. Now, P2P transactions. When you talk about P2P transactions, think logically. What are the steps that you can think of? Please note it is from the vendor side. So, vendor purchase order. You raise a purchase order to the vendor. Next is amount you pay to the vendor. You get a credit note from the vendor. You pay amount to the money disbursement. Okay. Inventory prices. When you receive the invoice, you record the prices. Okay. And system access is again a common point. Okay. So, with regards to all these transactions, it could be unauthorized, it could be inaccurate, or it could be not entered. These are the 3 common points with respect to all the transactions. So, this covers 3 points here. Purchase order or purchase requisition is raised by an unauthorized person. Purchase order raised is inaccurate. It's for I wanted item A, B, C. In the purchase order, I have written item A, B, D, E, F. Okay, I have added some wrong items, inaccurate. Third is purchase order not even entered into the system. Okay, manual purchase order given, not entered into the system. So, unauthorized, inaccurate, not entered. So, I finished 3 points here. Right? Likewise, for every transaction, what could be the risks that are linked? So, like that, you will have about 10 to 12 points that you can easily write by applying logic. So, P2P risks and control with respect to transactions. order to cash, fulfilling customer requests from the customer order till invoicing and collection, order to cash. Okay, this is the process. And under masters, like we discussed already, same things. Okay, glance through. Under transactions, imagine from the customer side, what are the transactions? Order received from customer, okay, that you have exceeded the customer limits, not approved, not entered correctly into the system. I received customer's order, but I did not give it to the shipping department. Yeah, unauthorized orders are entered into the system. No one placed an order, but I still put a sales order in the system, right? Next, invoices. Invoices are unauthorized, not accurately recorded, not issued in accordance with the company's policy. Okay, raised for invalid items, raised for invalid goods. Credit note, goods shipped. So I have to imagine what are the possible transactions in that leg. Cash receipts, cash discounts, accounts receivable, and finally common point, system access. System access. Clear? So you have to just read this once, you apply your logic and write it in the exam. Risks and controls with relation to inventory cycle. Now inventory cycle has 3 phases: ordering phase, production phase, finished goods phase. Ordering, production, finished goods phase. Ordering, production, finished goods phase. Now under that masters, inventory master file. Same points, inventory master file. Under transaction, think raw materials. The prices that I've put for the materials that I've got, inaccurate. I have received the materials without getting any purchase order, without raising any purchase order. Okay, it's what materials I've received and not recorded in the system. I've recorded it but not recorded it accurately, not recorded in the right period. So are you able to understand the pattern of the points? Defective, not returned. Raw materials that are defective have not been returned to the supplier. Transferred to production, not recorded. So my raw materials that I transferred to my materials department has not been recorded in my system. Direct and indirect expenses, finished goods, received from production, not recorded or recorded inaccurately. Shipments, what I am sending shipments, not recorded or recorded inaccurately. Cost of shipped inventory and system access. Next, human resources stages. Please note, it is an important question, it is an exam question. Human resources stages. Stages of in any human resource cycle, HR cycle, is recruiting or onboarding. Recruiting or onboarding. I post for a job vacancy and then I receive the resumes, I scan those resumes, I conduct interviews. All those steps will come here in recruiting and onboarding. O stands for orientation. Orientation. I give an orientation to the client about what are the processes that are in my company, what are the duties that he needs to do. Orientation about the company. OROC. C for career development. It includes appraisal, bonuses. It includes his growth as an employee, how he can contribute to the growth of the organization. So career development. T for termination. So from hire to fire, this covers all the steps. So first is recruiting or onboarding, orientation or career planning. Third is career development, and fourth is termination. Termination or transition to another department. Clear? Now, please note, till now we have seen risks and controls with respect to masters and transactions. Masters and transactions. Now, HR is a module where we are going to see risks and controls with respect to configuration, system settings. Configuration, under that only 2 points. Exiting employees, employees who are leaving the organization, they still have system access. They still have system access. So I need to put controls in the configuration tab that in case the date of joining is before today's date, please restrict all. Date of quitting the organization is before today's date, then restrict all system access. In case I do not have that control, he can come and change all the configuration settings. Exiting employees continue to have system access. Employees have system access in excess of job requirement. Employees have the system access in excess of the job requirement, which means your RBAC role-based access control. In excess of my job, my duties, I am still given a lot of additional access. I can go and change some data of some other department, right? Wonderful. Master, payroll master file, like how we had inventory master file, like that payroll master file. Addition of invalid employees. Now here the risks are a little different when compared to the earlier processes. Addition of invalid employees. I add my aunt's, brother-in-law's, father's, sister's daughter as an employee in my organization. Okay. New employees not added. New employees not added in the system. Terminated employees not removed from the system. Terminated employees not removed. Unauthorized changes to the master file, not up to date. Any changes in some bank account number or change in the address, I have not updated in my master file, not up to date. Statutory requirements are not followed, and system access. System access. So here it's a little different, the master file, but very easy. Payroll master file, yeah. Invalid employees are added, new employees not added, terminated employees not removed, unauthorized changes not up to date, and statutory requirements like your TDS, your PFSI, yeah, PFESI, all of that is not followed. That is also a major problem. Please note that we do not have any risks and controls relating to transactions in the payroll master file, because most of it is already covered in the master. It's covered in the master list. Okay. Fixed assets, risks and controls. All fixed assets tracked for accounting, all records are maintained. What are the steps in a fixed asset cycle? Procure the asset, registering an asset, adjusting the asset, transferring the asset to whichever department requires it, and putting depreciation, disposing the asset. Now under that, the master fixed assets master file. Fixed assets master file, same as what we had discussed. System access to master file, and yeah, done. Unauthorized access. Okay, clear? Fixed assets transactions. Now there are a lot of points in this. You have to just think logically, what are the stages? Acquisition. Now this acquisition is not accurately recorded, not recorded in the right period, not even recorded. Okay. Depreciation, same things. For all the points, it's almost the same. Not accurately recorded, not recorded in the right place, not even recorded. Disposal, same. Maintenance activity, the reports for the maintenance activities are not mentioned, and it is not up to date. Accounting entry is not recorded in the correct general ledger account. I have sold an AC, but I have recorded in the computer's account. Alright, system access not restricted to authorized users. Clear? Are we clear? Yes? Yes, general ledger, risks and controls. Enter, review, approve, post, generate financial reports. Now general ledger, risks and controls. With respect to configuration, we have like how we have HR, risks and controls with response to configuration, like that we have general ledger lists and controls also. Okay. So under that, unauthorized entries, segregation of duties, automatic reconciliation not done or wrongly done or not approved by the manager, write-off not given effect to, account mapping not done by the software, adding or deleting GL accounts not given effect to, and transactions not approved or not authorized by the correct person. General ledger master file and standard chart of accounts. So GL, risks and controls with relating to masters. Change report not generated by the system or not reviewed. Standard chart of accounts not approved by the management. Standard chart of accounts where all the ledgers are given for your P&L balance sheet, all the ledgers not approved by the management. Now this is with relating to masters. Please note that this masters is different. Like how HR master is different, general ledger master is also different. General ledger master is also different. Next, boys and girls, we have general ledger risks and controls with relation to transactions. So just a quick recap, control should be checked at 3 levels. Okay, one is configuration level, one is masters level, and one is transactions level. So what we've seen is for various processes, what are the controls or what are the things we need to check at either these two levels or these two levels, right? Now where we are is general ledger, risks and controls with respect to transactions. Now in general ledger, imagine what are the things that can happen. There needs to be a balance reconciliation. Balance reconciliation, your banks must tally with your book balance and all of that. Not reconciled, not reviewed, not approved, all of these are individual, like each line item you will write separately. Not reconciled, not reviewed, not approved, no automatic reconciliation between balance sheet and income statements, right? Account codes and transaction amounts. All these account codes you have, they are not accurate, what you followed in the last year, not the same, not complete, exceptions are there. Suddenly from K1 to K13, I have KL14, yeah? So exception, why is my code different? Exceptions not reported. Book closing entries, not reviewed by the management, and they are reviewed by the management but they are inaccurate. Point number 9, inaccurate, right? So many points you have to write with respect to a single parameter. Reports, reports are not produced by the system, not distributed and reviewed by the controller or CFO. Variances not investigated. Any variances between the actual and planned, they are not actual and planned, they are not reviewed. Alright, perfect. Awesome guys, we've taken flowchart in a very elaborate manner. I hope you watched the lectures, you're clear on flowcharts. In this revision section, we'll just cover the 2 theory questions in flowchart. One is advantages of a flowchart, one is limitations of flowchart. So under advantages of flowchart, the code word is GEECDEPIC. GEECDEPIC. Now GEE. G stands for grasp of relationships. A flowchart will help you understand what process is to be done first, what process is to be done next, who is supposed to do it, yeah? Grasp of relationship between data or between the process. GEE. E stands for effective analysis or a effective blueprint of the entire problem solution zone. So effective analysis of the blueprint. Third is GEE. Effective program maintenance. Effective program maintenance. Clear? Effective program maintenance. CDE. C for communication, D for documentation, E for effective coding. Communication, documentation, effective coding. Then I have PIC. PIC. P stands for program debugging. In case there are any errors in the processing or in the answer of any software. For example, I'm asking for the simple interest, but the software is throwing up the name of the person. Not the simple interest, it's just showing up the name of the person, which means there's an error. I can go to the flowchart and verify, okay, maybe some process step is wrong. I have not defined properly what to give in the print. Maybe in print I've just given name, not comma simple interest I've not given, right? So a program debugging or fixing of errors can be done because of the flowchart. PIC. I stands for identifying responsibility. I exactly know who has to do what activity and I can identify the responsibility, okay? And C stands for controls. Because a flowchart is there and because I understand the software, how it's functioning, I can put in the correct controls in place. Advantages of a flowchart: GEE, CDE, PIC. GEE, CDE, PIC. Okay, quickly. G stands for grasp of relationships. E, GEE, effective analysis of the blueprint. Effective, I hope everyone's with me. Effective analysis of the blueprint. And another E stands for effective program maintenance. Okay, CDE. C stands for communication, documentation and effective coding. Effective coding. A flowchart will help the programmer or the coder to code the program in a very nice manner. Then PIC. P, program debugging. I stands for identifying responsibility and C stands for control. C stands for control. Easy or very easy? Very easy. Next is limitations of a flowchart. Limitations of a flowchart. So in case there's a complex logic in a flowchart, in case there's a complex problem to solve, okay, very different complex problem to solve, in that case I will keep thinking on what to do. Okay, I will keep thinking on what to do. I will forget the how to do. I will forget the how to do because of a complex business logic. I don't know what to put. Should I put the input box first? Should I put the process box first? Should I put a counter first? Yeah, we go through that sometimes when the problem is difficult. Yeah, complex logic. Modification of a flowchart is not easy. You have to type it, you have to write it fully again from the scratch. Reproduction is not easy because it cannot be typed. Modification not easy, reproduction not easy, cannot be typed. Link between conditions and actions. Okay, sometimes it is difficult to establish when you have too many question boxes, yeah, too many process boxes, then it becomes difficult to link the conditions and actions. Link the conditions and what needs to be done if the conditions are met. Yeah, if you have too many criteria, in case it's a man, then you give 25%. In case it's a person aged below 25, then you give 3% extra. Yeah, in case there are so many conditions, it becomes very difficult to frame the link between conditions and actions. And finally, it is standardization. When I ask you to draw a flowchart, will your flowchart be same to the flowchart of a friend? Will your flowchart be the same as the flowchart of a friend? No, because we all use different kind of diagrams for flowcharts. So standardization is very difficult. Standardization is very difficult. Clear? Very easy. Now tell me the limitations of a flowchart. All of you, limitations of a flowchart. Without seeing, come on. Close your eyes. Complex logic, modification, reproduction, link between conditions and actions, standardization. So we have 5 points with regards to the limitations of flowchart. So we finish advantages and limitations of a flowchart. Yeah, next section 134 of the Companies Act 2013. Okay, so there are only two sections that we are going to discuss about. In Companies Act when it comes to this chapter. It is section number 134 and 143. 134 and 143. Now 134 talks about the DRS, Director's Responsibility Statement. Director's Responsibility Statement. Director has taken proper and sufficient care for what? For safeguarding the assets and for preventing and detecting fraud. For safeguarding the assets of the company and for detecting and preventing frauds that can happen. He has taken proper and sufficient care. Directors of a listed company must lay down internal financial controls that they are adequate and operating effectively. Now tell me, in my wardrobe, if I have all sorts of clothes, okay, if I have clothes for wedding wear, reception wear, I want to go to the airport travel wear, party wear, class wear, some temple wear, yeah. So if I have clothes for every occasion, okay, so I have adequate clothes. Do you all agree? Do you all agree? Yes. Now tell me something, if all the clothes are not of my size, they are all of a very, very higher size or very, very lower size, but not of my size. In that case, is that helpful for me in any ways? The answer is no. So my clothes are adequate, but are they effective or are they operating effectively? No. No. Okay. So directors need to state that the IFC's internal financial controls are adequate and operating effectively. Both the points. Adequate, they are enough and they are operating effectively. They are in effective operation. Clear? Now what is internal financial control? We saw over here internal financial control. What is it exactly? It is PPPs. I've told you controls, you remember? PPPs for all those points, you can write those points, okay? PPPs for ensuring safeguarding of assets, for ensuring data integrity, orderly conduct of business, adhering to company's policy, detecting fraud, accuracy of accounting records and timely preparation of financial information. So internal financial controls are nothing but the policies, procedures and practices for conducting business properly, adhering to the company's policy, safeguarding of the assets, safeguarding the assets of the company. Then I have detecting the fraud, accuracy of accounting records and timely preparation of financial reports. Now I have something called as corporate governance framework. Also this important, you need to, this question you need to caution it, because this question is talking about corporate governance framework. Okay, how you're going to implement that? It is an RTP question. Now corporate governance framework I'm going to implement at 3 levels. One is my stakeholders. In stakeholders, I have to ensure that contracts are there for distributing the rights and responsibilities. With my shareholders, with my creditors, with all my stakeholders, I need to have proper contracts to understand the rights and responsibilities. Otherwise, tomorrow it will be a blame game. You were supposed to do this, but you did not do this, right? So I need to have proper contracts for the distribution of rights and responsibilities. Procedures for reconciling conflicting interest. Even after having contracts, even after having explicit contracts, I may still get into an argument with them, right? In case I get into an argument with them, conflicting interest, what is the procedure for reconciling that? Because organizations can stand on a very tiny thread in case of ego issues or clashes. So procedures for reconciling conflicting interest of stakeholders. Third is checks and balances for proper supervision and control. Checks and balances means that no particular power is concentrated in a particular person's hand. No power is concentrated into a particular person's hand. Okay, so you need to have proper checks and balances, separation of power, so that one particular group does not become too powerful. It is almost like segregation of duties. Okay, so corporate governance framework, guys, 3 things over here. One is explicit and implicit contract with my stakeholders. Why do I need it? To understand what are the rights and responsibilities. To understand what are the rights and responsibilities. Second point is, in case of conflicting interest with my stakeholders, what are the procedures to reconcile those differences? Okay. Third is checks and balances. No single party should have a lot of power in hand. No single, for example, management becomes too powerful, what will they do? Abuse their responsibility. Employees become too powerful, they'll go on strike, they'll demand for things, right? So, no checks and balances. So, we finished section number 134. 134 spoke about director's responsibility statement. Now, we are going to do section number 143, subsection 3. Subsection 3. The Companies Act, it talks about the powers and duties of an auditor. 143, easy to remember, auditor. Okay? 143, auditor. Now, auditor's report shall state whether the company has adequate, so actually 134, 143 talks about internal financial controls. Okay? One is that management is saying it, the other one is that auditor is saying it. Okay, one is director is saying it through the director's responsibility statement, the other one auditor is saying it through his auditor's report. Clear? Talks about adequacy of internal financial controls and that they are same points. Now there is a guidance note. The auditor's responsibility is to express an opinion over the internal financial controls. Are they effective? Are they adequate? Yes. Not effective if material weakness exists. If some amount is misstated in my books, then means I do not have proper internal financial control. Auditor to plan and perform his audit in order to get a sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Yeah, I need to plan and perform my audit. A material weakness in IFC may be there. Even if financial statements are not material misstated, there could still be a material weaknesses in IFC. So I need to check with a very, very questioning eye. Clear. Wow, boys and girls, we're coming to the last part of this chapter, cybercrime. Okay, we're coming to the last part of this chapter, cybercrime. It is an easy-go-lucky topic, easy-go-happy topic. So, cybercrime is not defined anywhere, but it means that any normal crime which is done using the help of an internet or network or systems means a cybercrime. Any normal crime, stealing money is a normal crime. If that is done using the help of networks or computers or internet, it becomes a cybercrime. Computer-related offences. Mark this point as question is important. Computer-related offences. Computer-related offences. Please do not write for this data diddling, worm, bomb. Don't write that answer. That the question was the various data-related risks. Various data related risks. Computer related offenses talks about different things. Fake profile. So I open a fake profile for someone, I upload images, yeah, and I give the correct address, phone number, so that that person is harassed. Harassment. Fake profiles over social networking sites. Create a fake profile for someone. Okay. Email hacking. Email hacking. I send emails to contacts. I try to take their personal information. Credit card fraud. Credit card fraud, we all know that. Web defacement. Web defacement means on the home page of any government site, home page of any government website, what I do is, like say Income Tax Act or GST website, yeah, what I do is on these website I place obscene pictures or obscene materials. It could be a porn or a defamatory page, right? Now, why does this happen? Because they want to sabotage the reputation of the government or the country. So, hackers do that, maybe other countries' hackers do that to spoil the reputation of the country. Web defacement. Next is introducing virus, worms, backdoors, rootkits, trojans, bugs. Introducing all of this into the computer by writing some malicious programs. Next, we have cyber terrorism. Cyber terrorism. Terrorism in the cyberspace. Online sale of illegal items. Say I have drugs or weapons or some rare breed of animals. I sell all of them online. Online sale of illegal items. Cyber pornography, okay, having sexually explicit content on the internet. Phishing and email scams. Phishing and email scams. What is the meaning of phishing? Phishing means acting as a trustworthy person. And getting personal information. Sometimes we've heard about phone calls that say that, you know, we're calling from Grofers or Swiggy. Can we have the OTP that is just sent on your phone? Can we have your card details? Yeah. So, acting as a trustworthy person. They're actually not calling from those companies. Acting as a trustworthy person. We're calling from the bank. There's some issues with your account. Can you please give us account details? Right? Phishing and email scams. Acquiring SPDI by spoofing. Stealing confidential information, okay, it's done by rivals, criminals or disgruntled employees, unsatisfied employees, it's done by these people. Source code theft, any program has a code, so that code you steal it or you modify it, source code theft. Clear? So, now computer related offenses, can we quickly go through the 11 computer related offenses, all of us? Yeah. Fake profiles or harassment, email hacking, phishing and email, credit card fraud, web defacement, introducing virus, worms, backdoors, rootkits, trojans and bugs, cyber terrorism. Then I have online sale of illegal items. I have cyber pornography, confidential information and source code theft. Most of it we all can remember: fake profiles, harassment, email hacking, phishing, credit card fraud, web defacement, cyber pornography, cyber terrorism, and then I have online sale of illegal items. Yeah, I have source code theft, stealing of confidential information. Yeah, so most of it very easy and general to remember. The question for this is computer related offenses. Now quickly, IT Act 2000, it was amended in 2008. It has IT Rules 2011. Now this IT Act provides, very important, legal recognition for transactions through electronic data interface or e-commerce. Earlier, you could not go to the court of law and say that, listen, this is a transaction, I've done it online. They would say it's not recognized under any act, gone. Okay, so only in 2000, the government opened its eyes and thought that it is very important with the boom of internet. It is very important that we have some laws in place. Provides legal recognition for transactions. Acceptance of contract by electronic means. Recognize the acceptance of contract by electronic means. Okay. which means that every transaction or a contract shall have a legal validity and enforceability. Legal validity and enforceability. Recognizes DSC and ES. DSC, Digital Signature Certificate, ES, Electronic Signature. Deals with cyber crimes and penalties. The IT Act deals with the criminal and civil liability for cyber crimes. Clear? Legal recognition for transactions, legal validity and enforceability for transactions, recognizes DSC EC, recognizes DSC EC, civil and criminal liability for cybercrime. Now, advantages of the cyber law. How you are going to remember this is advantages of cyber law. 3 points on government, 2 on email and DSC, 1 on legal framework, 1 on remedy. 3 government, 2 email DSC, 1 on legal framework and 1 on remedy. Advantages of cyber law. So, 3 on government. What are the points on government? The government shall be empowered to accept digital data. So many submissions, we submit the balance sheet to the government, we submit so many forms to the government, yeah, passport changing, accepting Aadhaar, all of that. So the government can receive information in the digital form. Government can issue notices online. Can the government issue notices online? Yes, on GST and portal there is a tab called notices. So through that you can see the notices. Earlier it used to come in a printed form, but because of cyber law, the electronic form is also given legal validity. Companies can approach government offices for filing any form, application in e-form. So 3 points on government. One is government, the companies can give, they can file. Second is the government can accept. And third is the government can carry on e-governance, which means issue notices. Then there is 1 point on email and DSC. So email is given legal validity and DSC is given legal validity. 1 point on legal framework. Any information shall not be denied legal effect, validity or enforceability. Crucial legal framework, okay. So even WhatsApp chats these days are taken in the court of law. So any information shall not be denied legal effect. Email approved in court of law gives boons to e-business. Digital signature certificate also to the certifying authorities who issue DSC. They are also protected by this law. The certifying authorities are people who help us to create a DSC. And then 1 point on remedy. Corporates can get statutory remedy in case the computers is damaged by viruses or intruders. I as a corporate entity can get a remedy. What is the remedy that I can get? Not exceeding 1 crore rupees. It is given in the Act, not exceeding 1 crore rupees. So, advantages of cyber law, all of you, come on. 3 on government, 2 email DSC, 1 is on legal framework, providing a crucial legal framework, and we have 1 on remedy. Easy? Very easy. What is sensitive personal data or information, SPDI? Now this rule 3 says that sensitive personal data information is any password, any financial information, example my card number, my CVC code, yeah, physical, psychological, mental health condition that I submit to the hospitals, yeah. Should anyone know what is my physical, psychological, mental health conditions? No. Sexual orientation, whether it's a boy or girl that's going to be born, yeah, what is the sexual orientation of a person? Should anyone know that? The answer is no. Medical records or medical history and biometric information. So, password, financial information, physical, psychological or health conditions, sexual orientation, medical records, biometrics. What is SPDI as per rule 3? Password, financial information, physical, psychological or mental health conditions, my sexual orientation, medical records, and then I have biometrics. Clear? My fingerprints or other details. Now, consent to collect data. If any company wants to collect data, it should ask the consent from the giver of data, that is said in Rule 5.1. Rule 5.1 says that you need to take the consent to collect the data. We always click without seeing any of the clauses. I agree, we click that, right? So all this are provided in that document. Rule 6 talks about, so Rule 5 says that in case you want to collect the data, take their consent. Rule 6 says that this data that you have collected, in case you want to disclose it to a third party, you again need to take consent from the person if you want to disclose it to a third party. Because what happens is people sell data. Data is the new gold. People sell data for money. Right now, this data should be sold only for or disclosed to third party only after taking consent under Rule 6. Penalty and compensation for damage to computer. Now, without permission, if I am accessing, downloading, putting in virus, damaging, disrupting, denying or assisting anyone to do any damage to the computer, then liable to pay damages to the person affected. Okay, section 43 talks about the penalty and compensation for damage to computers. Penalty and compensation, what are the things included? Access, download virus, damage, disrupt, deny. Access, download virus, damage, disrupt, deny and assist. Okay. 43A, very important. 43 talks about the various types, penalties and compensation for doing so many things for damaging a computer. 43A talks about compensation for failure to protect data. If any body corporate fails to protect data, they are liable to pay damage to the person affected. Negligent with SPDI. I don't keep it under security, I don't keep it in a secured way. Then negligent in implementing reasonable security practices. Not that I need to get very, very expensive security procedures, but reasonable security practices, okay, as per my industry standards. Now, other key provisions, we'll just look at it in brief. 43 we already saw. 43A, compensation for failure to protect data. 65, we finished the 43 series, we are coming to the 65 series. 65 has only one section, 65 source code. Conceal, destroy, alter source code. Okay. 66 talks about the computer related offences which are covered in section 43. Clear? After 66 we have 66B. Please note 66A is not there. 66B, stolen computer. B, stolen computer. 66C, identity theft. Okay, so if I steal someone's password, if I get some PIN or biometric from someone, if I get their card details, yeah, what I'm doing is I'm stealing their information. Now, for that is covered under section 66C. 66D, D means cheating by personation. What is the meaning of personation? I act as if I am someone else. Okay, I don't steal the password but I act as if I am someone else. That is known as cheating by personation. 66E, violation of privacy. In case I take a publish, transmit or capture image of any private area, then I am liable under 66E. Okay, very easy. 65 source code. 66 offences done in 43. Then I have 66B, which talks about stolen computer from the bazaar. B for bazaar, stolen computer. 66C, cheating by using or stealing passwords. D, by personation, cheating by personation. And then E, privacy or private areas. Next I have 66F. Under that I am talking about cyber terrorism. Threaten the unity, integrity, security of India by doing so many things are covered under cyber terrorism. Terrorism done over the internet. Lifetime imprisonment, okay. 67, transmitting obscene material. 67A, transmitting or publishing material containing sexually explicit act. Okay, sexually explicit act, that is covered in 67A. 67B, sexually explicit act involving children. Is covered in section 66B. Please note that the penalty for section 67 is different. Yes. Okay. Finally, the last topic is privacy laws. There are privacy laws are different in different countries. We have various measurements for privacy laws or privacy policy. First, we need to define the data. Define what is the meaning of, database, originator, addressee. Define all these important meanings. Next, we have to identify what calls for a civil liability and what offense calls for a criminal liability. After that, declaring a resource as a protected system. Imposing penalty for breach of data. Declaring a resource as a protected system. So, I will declare in my privacy laws that anyone who harms or attempts to harm my server room, my mainframe computer, my network will be liable for civil or criminal liability. Okay. So, declaring a resource as a protected system. So, I have to specify what are the resources that are important for me. Imposing a penalty for breach. Setting up of hierarchy of regulatory authorities. Okay. So, setting up which level I will take in case a breach happens. Setting up of hierarchy for regulatory authorities. So, in my privacy laws, let us quickly summarize. First, I need to define the terms. After I define the terms, I need to identify what is applicable for civil liability, what is applicable for criminal liability. After that, mark as protected. Mark the resources as protected resources. I have to understand what is the penalty, and finally, I have to understand what is the organization hierarchy of the data, right? I hope chapter 1 is clear and all your question and answers books are clear. Quickly draw the hearts and smileys after you do a quick run through of all the questions, and we've completed our revision for chapter number 1. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you for joining in, guys.